It's Saiyaara week. Love stories are back. The intense kind, the rula dene wali kind, the newcomers wali, music wali kind. Social media is celebrating the return of that big, aching Bollywood romance. But what if I told you a decade ago, all of this and more existed in one single film? A film that gave us not just a deeply affecting love story, but also launched some of the most important cinematic voices in contemporary Indian cinema as we know it today. Hi, and welcome to Just Too Filmy. Today on Rotalks Recommends, we're celebrating a decade of a landmark film, Neeraj Ghaywan's Masaan. Back in 2015, Masaan was a small indie film with no stars, no marketing blitz, no known faces, and no dance numbers. But what it did have was passion, precision, and a point of view. And it won at Cannes that year. Looking back, Masaan feels almost prophetic. Just look at the names that broke out with this film. Neeraj Ghaywan, his first film as director. Varun Grover, who made a screenwriting debut. Avinash Arun, with his lyrical cinematography. Vicky Kaushal's first leading role, a quiet and layered performance before stardom hit. Richa Chadha, finally in a central part after her firebrand turn in Gangs of Wasipur. Shweta Tripathi, vulnerable and radiant as Shalu. And a brilliantly restrained Pankaj Tripathi, still in his pre-breakout era. Guneet Monga, whose Sikya Entertainment produced the film much before they won the Oscar. Let's place this film in context. 2015 was a big year for Hindi films. Sanjay Leela Bhansali gave us Bajirao Mastani. Zoya Akhtar made Dil Dhadakne Do. Kabir Khan made Salman Khan's honestly last watchable film, Bajrangi Bhaijaan. The Drishyam franchise had just begun. But while the mainstream was booming, something underneath was bubbling. Aligarh, NH10, Baby, Byomkesh Bakshi. All of these films were honestly the soul of the year. Quiet yet radical. And in this silence, Masaan roared. It premiered at the A Certain Regard category at Cannes, won 2 awards, and quietly wrote the blueprint for what an Indian love story could be. At its core, Masaan is a story of loss, of love, family, and possibility. But more than that, it's a film about how systems punish people for transgressing boundaries. Devi loses her lover to suicide after a consensual hotel room encounter is raided by the police. Then on, she is socially ostracized. Deepak, played by Vicky Kaushal, belongs to the Dom community and he dreams of leaving behind his caste-bound life. He falls in love with an upper caste girl only to have caste realities snap his dreams into two. Both stories tethered to caste, but not in a preachy academic way, but in the way that life in India always has been. Both, irrespective of gender, get punished for daring to love in their own ways. Where Bollywood had long sanitized or even ignored caste, Masaan put it front and center, not as tokenism but as lived lives or experiences. Masaan is a quest for identity, much as the director Neeraj Ghaywan and Varun Grover, the writer, were perhaps searching for their own identities as filmmakers in a system that perhaps had no space until then for these voices. But they persisted and made a film that would then become the cornerstone for love stories that talk about societies that rip lovers apart. It was a seething and realistic commentary on the caste system without shying away from naming the structures that destroy women and men who inhabit them. Perhaps the most powerful image in the film comes right at the end. A Brahmin woman, a Dalit man, on a boat floating on the Ganges. They're not lovers, they're not saviors. They're two people suspended by grief and social rejection. Deepak, a man but shackled by caste. Devi, a Brahmin but constrained by her gender. This is where the film transcends the personal and becomes political. The boat becoming a metaphor for India itself, drifting, unequal, still struggling to reconcile its deep-seated hierarchies. There is a point before they get on the boat when Vicky's character offers Devi a bottle of water when she sits crying on the ghats. In that humble and even forgettable act of humanity, Neeraj Ghaywan bridges years of oppression between the upper and lower castes, where the latter was not even allowed to drink water of the former. One of Masaan's most powerful choices is how it withholds. In a pivotal scene, Devi visits her dead lover's family. The camera, however, remains outside the house, even beyond the gate. We do not see the conversation. We hear a bit of the accusations, and then you hear a slap. But the choice that Neeraj takes to remain at a distance is also a political act. It respects the viewers, but tells them that, hey, Devi doesn't belong inside that house. She will always stay outside of it. She is not welcome, just like the camera. 10 years on, one of the most popular scenes or lines from Masaan has to be this one. That line has become iconic. It's been memed 1,000 times since. But in that one line, we saw Vicky Kaushal, the actor, emerge. This line, however, wasn't just about grief. It indicates a continued grief borne by those who live outside of privilege. It's many deaths they face, of loved ones, sure, but also of their hopes and dreams that are denied to them time after time because of who they are. In 2025, we're watching the buzz around Saiyaara and the upcoming Dhadak 2, a film that's already drawing comparisons. But here's the thing, guys. Dhadak 2 is not competing with Saiyaara. For all of us, Masaan will always be the gold standard of love stories that go beyond boy meets girl. Because in India, it's never just boy meets girl. It's caste meets caste. And that meet is very often not cute. Saiyaara picked up the baton for Masaan in 2016, but its Hindi adaptation, Dhadak 1, did not commit to the most important thing that makes Masaan and Saiyaara go beyond the love story. If Masaan was the film that named caste in the context of heartbreak, one can only hope that Dhadak 2 picks up the baton and runs further with it. So while we celebrate Saiyaara and look forward to Dhadak 2, let's never forget. For many of us, Masaan will always be the film that told us that you can be broken and still float, you can lose and still matter, you can name caste and still love. Happy 10 years, Masaan. You were not loud, but you still echo. Thank you so much for watching the recommendation today. I hope you loved it, and honestly, this was just a piece of my heart that I had to pour into this video because I love this film so much. If you liked our recommendation, or if you have a recommendation for a film that maybe I should recommend to others, please write it in the comments. If you have thoughts, please put them there too. We've crossed 10,000 subscribers, okay, just last week on the channel, and that means the world to us. So thank you so much for coming forward and building this community with me. I'm Rotalks. I'll see you next week. Don't forget to keep it just too filmy.